What's going on, everybody? Thank you for tapping into another episode of the Mindful Moneymakers podcast, where we talk about all the tips, tricks, and mindset shifts you need to make if you want to live a life by design instead of by default. Today, we have the special privilege and honor of introducing you to another powerhouse. We actually go way back, like Rims on a Cadillac. I remember being featured on his podcast some time ago. And today, we get to talk to Jeremy Funderburk, who was born and raised in Charlotte, North Carolina. Shout out to North Carolina, and is a social media and digital marketing expert. He has run many successful agencies and has generated over $10 million in client revenue. He's been featured in Fox, NBC, and CBS News, and is currently the founder of Instant Scale Media, which is a marketing agency designed to help brands scale past the $100,000 month mark. And he's doing this all at just the age of 28 years old. I can't wait to find out what his secret is. Thank you so much for joining us today, Jeremy. How you feeling?
Oh, brother, the pleasure is all mine. I'm blessed. How are you feeling?
Oh, I'm phenomenally well, but we're just getting started. We're gonna get better. Yes, indeed, as
Man.
time goes on. So I was able to introduce you kind of surface and on a surface level. I want to give you the opportunity to kind of introduce yourself a little bit more in depth. Tell us where you guys started, how you guys started, where you are now, and where you headed.
Yeah, absolutely. It's crazy because we go back like rims on a Cadillac. My entrepreneurial journey goes way back, way back. We talking LeBron hairline back.
Jesus.
So I was one of those guys, and I know a couple of you guys listen to you can relate, but not a lot of people because I was the weirdo. I remember being in the second grade telling people I ain't never gonna work a job. Like I was determined. I knew I was just born to be an entrepreneur. So I was actually in the second grade. I started buying books and studying, and most of my background is actually in art. I don't even know if you knew that. So I started buying, yeah, man, I'm buying books on how to draw. Like every time the book fairs came, I'm trying to get every book possible. Then I learned about library cards. I'm going to the library, grabbing every book possible. And then I remember going into middle school. I talked to my dad. I was like, I want to start networking. So we started going to different comic book conventions. I started meeting the artists. I started building up these relationships. And I remember when I was in the eighth grade, I'm talking to another artist, like a big brother to me now, named Wally. And he said, hey, come back here behind our table. So it's my first time getting that experience, like the professionals. And I'm like, yo, this is cool. He's like, man, for all we know, maybe next year you could be back here with us. And I'm like, oh, and he kind of just painted the dream and casted the vision. And then from there, I actually started a company with, I was 13 at the time. I started a company with two other guys that were in their mid 30s. And we started a comic book company. And we actually had a booth at that convention that next year. So that started my entrepreneurial journey. From there, I became published with other companies while in high school. Went to college for art for one trimester. While there, I found out one of my professors had a company. I started from the ground floor, just, hey, let me do some intern work. And 2, 3 months later, I'm running his whole animation studio. And then from there, branched out, opened a tattoo shop. And then the entrepreneurial journey just kept progressing and progressing. And now I took all those skills and we're in marketing. And I went from just having my own company to now I can have a bigger impact growing and scaling other people's companies.
That's fire. What's standing out to me, I think is a very big deal, is that you wasn't afraid to start where you were, right? So you had an idea. It wasn't like, oh, I need to make $1 million off of this right now. It was something that I'm interested in, something that, I think is fun, that I find enjoyment in. And, uh, it really hit me from the left side when you was like, what you say you was in middle school, and you was like, I want to start networking. I was like, in eighth grade, I was not thinking about no networking. I wouldn't even know what it was. But
Actually, that
before
summer, fifth grade, going into the sixth grade, so in elementary school, right before I went to middle school.
you wasn't even, you was in elementary school, not even in middle school yet, talking about some networking. My father would be like, boy, if you don't sit down, what you know about some networking? But
No networking.
yeah, but you did that. And I'm seeing like a vision starting to come together of what's actually possible if you were to pursue, a career in arts. And lo and behold, you manifested that opportunity to be behind the table at the convention, right? I think that, no matter what you're doing, right, there's some fundamental mindset pieces that come into play, and that's what you're exhibiting, and it's something that you can do even at a very, very young age. Has that been your experience, that you've seen like a trend in your mindset from very big early on to now scaling $10 million businesses?
Um, it's crazy because back then I didn't realize it, and I know we both connect on the importance of the mindset. Back then I was just doing everything, but having that mindset and that vision and that definiteness of purpose it's definitely been a trend.
Right, right. Just being able to do it. One of my favorite entrepreneurial mindset quote things or whatever is that entrepreneurs will jump off the cliff and build the plane on the way down. Right. So having the courage to just do the thing, to not have all the answers first, but put yourself in a position where you're either going to perform, whether you're either going to sink or swim, I think is super powerful. Do you think that that type of courage is something that, you need to develop intentionally, or is it something that you just kind of always had, or like what's happening there? Why are you so brave?
Yeah, and it's crazy. Because this is actually a mindset shift that I just uncovered last week, where I used
Fresh.
to always think, you just have to build up the courage. And I started thinking about the things in my life that allowed me to make those leaps recently.
Mhm.
And I realized it was so natural as a kid, because I think that our God-given sense in us is we can do anything. We don't have doubts in our abilities. That's all taught to us in the world.
Mhm.
Oh, no, you can't do this because of that. You got your parents saying, no, you can't do that. You can't do that. And then you start getting these big dreams. No, you can't do that. What makes you think you can go to the NBA? What makes you think you can go to that? What makes you think you can start a business? And those limiting beliefs are forced on us. So then we have to relearn that courage part.
Mhm.
So I think we all have it in us. It's just the world made us forget.
Right. It's a matter of, because yeah, I think that we all have this idea that you got to learn and you got to grow and you need to know more. You need more knowledge, more it. And yeah, to a degree that's true, but there's something very impactful about unlearning, a lot of
Yeah.
the things that have been placed on us, a lot of projections, a lot of other people's limitations. And they mean well in a lot of cases. They do think that playing it safe is the best option, right? But I've come to learn that playing it safe is actually the biggest risk of all, because it keeps you playing small. It keeps you in the same spot. Like we prefer the devil we know over the devil we don't know, right? But in the unknown, it doesn't necessarily need to be a devil. It could be an angel. So you sticking with the familiar devil, just keeps you hanging out with Satan. And that's not where we want to be. That's not where we want to be at all.
Not at
So
all.
tell me about Brandon. Let's talk about what it takes to help scale your clients to over $10 million. It's very impressive. How did that come about, bro?
Yeah, it's super crazy. And one thing I pride myself in with my company, and the reason our success rate is so high, is because we're extremely picky with the clients we take on. So, like, if someone hops on a sales call with us, like, or a strategy session, a lot of people do strategy sessions, they're glorified sales calls.
Hmm.
For us, that strategy session, we do a connecting call before the strategy session. So on that connecting call, you can't do business with us even if you want to, because there's not a pitch. We're just going to figure out where you're at, and we're going to see if you even have the things in place to be able to scale. And we want to make sure we can 100% get your results before we even offer you to be a client. So then our team, we go back and we do a full marketing strategy put together, which our newest customer just told us, like, hey, this other company tried to pay us $2,000 to do that. I was like, what? We'll do it for free. Cause I'm like, even if you can afford my services, I still want to be a blessing to you and give you something you can go out and implement. But if we can't put a strategy together to scale you, like, I gotta call somebody tomorrow, like, hey, sorry, it's just not going to be a good fit. We can't do it. And you just have to have things in place. You got to have a product that sells. You got to have an offer that sells. You got to have you can't have a bad brand reputation. If you got a bad brand reputation, I mean, scaling up a bad brand, that's going to do more harm than justice. So you have to work on fixing your reputation first. You got to have your funnels and your back ends, because not everybody that sees you is going to buy immediately. Most people are going to have to interact with your brand a number of times before they even want to have the conversation. And then by the time they show that interest, you got to have a whole system on the back end just to make sure you can actually nurture that relationship and take care of that person until they become a customer or client. So we look at all the things that's needed to be in place to scale. And if it's all in place, it's literally as simple as just throwing some dollars at it.
All right, that's dope. I think that I want to really echo and put emphasis on the idea and the strategy around qualifying your clients, right? I think that a lot of people listening right now are in a space where they just want to help and serve everybody. I know I started off there, and it's honorable. I get it. But when you look at, you know, being results driven, right? And producing an actual result and making an actual impact is so important that you're aligned with the right type of client. So I just wanted to put some emphasis and put some bold letters around the idea that, you know, you're not here to work with everybody. You're here to work with people that are qualified and aligned with your brand and aligned with, you know, your ideologies and things like that.
Mhm.
Uh, how has, well, we already know, but I'm gonna ask you anyway, how has working with aligned clients kind of grown your business and help you make a bigger impact?
Oh man, it's been phenomenal. Like, just to have the case stories and the social proof now, it's great, because I'm always telling people to invest in their advertising. Not saying that's the only way to grow your business. And I'll just straight up say, if anybody tells you that their way is the only way, they're full of crap.
Right.
you know. So it's been great for us, because I'm like, hey, spend money on advertising, spend money on advertising. Like, we can't guarantee you're going to get a return,
Mhm.
but our our case stays are pretty tight, to the point like we have some clients where they got 10x return on their ad spend, and I can show that case study. But then I have another client that only got 4.36x.
Mhm.
Well, if you're just looking at that, you're like, all right, well, forget that. I want the 10x return.
Mhm.
And to see the 10x return, it's like a guy spent 8,000 and made 80,000. And the 4.3x is somebody that spent around 200,000 and made 900,000.
Mhm.
Then it's like, all right, which side would you rather be on?
Mhm.
The multiples are smaller, but the money you made is a lot more.
Right.
And when you align yourself with the right clients, they get it. They know, all right, the more I spend, the more I can make.
Right, right. And then things go smoothly. It's a lot more smoother, like a hot knife through butter, I like to say. I want to
Exactly. Instead of trying to make chicken salad out of chicken poop.
right. That part, that part. But let me ask you this. Are there any type of businesses or brands that you're particularly excited to work with? Like how do you get qualified to work with Jeremy?
My top two favorite clients are e-commerce store owners and coaches. I love it for a number of reasons. One, they're easier to scale. I can get them predictable results.
Mhm.
Two is because I'm an entrepreneur, and I want people to be able to live the life they love. Like you talk about,
Design.
living their life by design instead of by default.
Right, right.
Well, there's a lot of people that get trapped in that 9 to 5 space and they can't figure out how to get out. Well, e-commerce and coaching are ways where they can get out, they can step out on faith. They don't need, $1.2 million to open the McDonald's,
Mhm.
but it's very low cost to get started, and you can grow and scale it at a pretty fast rate and start to own your life. You can work that part-time life and still have that full-time income doing things that you love and you desire.
Mhm. That's fire. So anybody listening right now, if you're in ecom or if you're a coach, it's time to reach out. Let me ask you this. What is it like to work with you? Let's say we are qualified and you're excited to work with us. Like what happens after that?
Yeah. So I've always prided myself on trying to create the best customer experience possible.
Mhm.
So I feel like I'm already going to promise the world to my customers, my prospects. But once you become a client, I'm going to try to constantly deliver above and beyond anything that I say, and nothing's perfect. There's nothing in this world is perfect. So like I would say I've had one client who was my first high ticket client. He paid and we ran an ad and he was crushing it, like leads coming in back and forth. And this guy was actually in the real estate space. And he's like, yo, none of these leads are even in my area. So I'm like, what in the world's going on? So I'm talking to my team, like, hey, guys, we got to make sure you fix this, qualify these things better, da, da, da. And then he hit me up again. It's like, hey, the problem's still going. I said, all right. And then he hit me up a third time and said, hey, that problem is still going. I said, all right, this should have been fixed last week. So I was like, I'm going to look into everything on my own. I found out my team they set the ad up perfectly, except for their targeting, because they didn't target his specific location. So all these leads were coming in for everything. So all right, I will personally go in and fix the ad, make sure that it's running properly. So he was sending me another message and I messaged him back. He's like, hey, just want to let you know this is going on. I was like, yep, boom. I just went in personally. I took care of it. He's like, all right, great. I appreciate it. The next day, he hit me up. He was like, yo, you ain't have to do that. I'm like, nah, it's what I do, because what had happened was I looked at how much he spent on the ad. I said, I'm gonna take this out of my money because my team wasted your money, and I'm gonna give you all your money back, and we're gonna fix our results. You're not losing money because of us.
Mm. That's fire. That's honorable. And I know that people are listening right now are really like excited about that. The fact that you have the opportunity, as long as it's aligned, to work with somebody who's going to take full responsibility for not only the process, not only the relationship, but the actual results, because we get to grow, like we get to expand, and you get to experience what it's like to have a flourishing business when you're dealing with Jeremy. And I really like that. I feel that energy right now, and that's very quality energy.
Absolutely,
So
man. Company motto: if we can't make you money, we don't deserve yours.
that's a fact. That's a fact. So we're going after ROIs. How do we get connected with you?
Oh man, you can hit me up on any social platform, and you can hit me directly if you want, if you don't want to deal with like a sales team. I'm on Facebook, Jeremy Funderburk. I'm on LinkedIn, it's Jeremy Funderburk. uh Instagram, the real Jeremy F. TikTok, the real Jeremy F. If you guys aren't on TikTok, get on TikTok. I know T, that man's the king of TikTok. He put the T in TikTok. So
I dabble.
yeah.
Dabble.
Or you could go to instantscalemedia.com and you can get in contact with us there as well.
Perfect, perfect. So we do consultations, and y'all want to go ahead and y'all want to grab your consultation. You want to have a one-on-one conversation with Jeremy here to see exactly what it looks like to scale your business, because we're talking about 100K months, and that's no laughing matter, right? That's a life-changing amount. So I want you to think about, if your brand, if you do have the belief that your brand is worth 100K, per month, right? And you can handle that type of responsibility. This is your chance. This is your opportunity. I want to introduce you to Jeremy Funderburk and get it
Even
going.
if that, sorry to interrupt you, but
Yeah, go ahead.
not only if you feel like your brand is worth 100K a month, if you feel like you're worth 100K a month, let's talk.
Do it. Let's do it. So all the links are gonna be in the description below, as always. Man, so much value jam-packed into such a short conversation, right? I like it when it happens that way. But before I let you go, Jeremy, I want to ask you, right? What is one thing that anybody listening right now, something, maybe a small baby step that anybody listening right now could take to start living a life by design instead of by default?
Yeah. I would say shift your mindset, shift the questions you ask yourself. We're grown up taught asking, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? What do you want to do? And me and my wife have come to agreement. We'll never ask our kids that. We're always going to ask our kids, how do you want to live?
Mhm.
start with the end in mind, because when you think, what do you want to do? All right, great. I want to be a teacher. I want to be a teacher when I grow up. And then you become a teacher, but you have this vision of your lifestyle where you're traveling, you're going on cruises, you're taking all these vacations, but on that teacher salary, you can't do that. So even though you're doing what you love for work, you're doing your passion, but you're still trapped in the 9 to 5 lifestyle that you don't like. But when your whole lifestyle doesn't line up with the what, then you still go through those depressions and those negative emotions, and you don't like your life. You're still living by default because you're confined to an instrument in a vehicle not designed to give you the life that you love. So if you start with, hey, how do I want to live? Then you can design your whole life based around, all right, well, I might like being an entrepreneur, especially on this scale, like there's things that come with it that I don't like.
Right.
But the overall lifestyle that it gives me, I love to be able to spend time with my wife whenever I want to, knowing that me and my wife are going to both be full-time parents here soon, knowing that last year we traveled like 10 out of 12 months. In October alone, we traveled 3 times. I was on 6 flights and still made 20 grand that month. And I worked less than 10 hours the whole month. Like that's the type of life I wanted to live. So guys, start with the end in mind.
It's a beautiful thing, bro. I want to add to it a little bit because yeah, that's a powerful idea, right? And where it hits me at is when we start businesses. So we have a lot of most people, 70% of people work jobs that they hate, right? And then entrepreneurship, maybe it's because I'm in this space, but it seems a little bit more trendy. Everybody wants to be an entrepreneur. Everybody wants to create generational wealth. And the mistake that people are making when they make that shift is that they're getting out of a job they hate to now be in a business they hate. Because like you said, they're not thinking about the lifestyle, right? And assimilating and acclimating your life to the actual lifestyle. How do you not want to live? Not what you want to do, not just how much money you want to make. But for me, it's like I prioritize sleeping, I prioritize taking midday breaks because even though I'm an entrepreneur, the reason why I'm doing it is so that I can have the luxury of doing things on my time, being aligned, being energetic, being excited about what I'm doing, right? So I'm not gonna sacrifice the why for the how. You feel what I'm saying? And I think that just leads for a richer experience. If I could echo you just one more time, bro, because you just said some really powerful things. You dropping gems today. Thank you so much for tapping in with us, bro.
My pleasure, man. My pleasure. I'm gonna wish you. I love those naps. I got a couch right here in my office just so I can take that midday nap.
You ain't the only one, bro. I'm leaning away. The only one. It's important. These are the things that we take for granted.
Yeah,
You know?
absolutely.
And I think that they're probably the rest is an investment. Rest, sleep, vacation. These are productive activities, right?
Absolutely. Super productive.
Yes, indeed, bro. I can't thank you enough for tapping into the Mindful Moneymakers podcast. Thank you so much. We got to do it again.
Absolutely. Anytime. It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. That was Jeremy Funderburk. That was Jeremy Funderburk. And he's a phenomenal entrepreneur. We go way back like rims on a Cadillac once again. And to everybody listening at home, as always, love, be well, and don't forget to have the guts to follow your guts. Peace.